I am Jeevan Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Public Policy, Law and Governance, Central University of Rajasthan. Dear students, so far we have seen the meaning of governance and the factors contributed to the evolution of that concept, and policy as networks with market and civil society. We also have seen how public-private partnerships have emerged as a new way of implementing mechanism. And now we will see also the achievements of these networks under the concept of governance. As policy document reflected these shifts, and a lot of projects were undertaken in health, education, and infrastructure. And what is the outcome of these initiatives? The studies show that the implementation of PPPs in health and education is having a positive effect compared to the projects in road. The studies show that the implementation of public-private partnerships has a mixed results. For instance, a joint House Committee of Karnataka probed that, and it indicted the officials at the Bengaluru airport for the faulty design and implementation. And there were also reports that the public-private partnerships were having a defect because the private sectors were reaping more profit out of these projects, and which goes against the spirit of the public and private partnerships. And as I have discussed earlier, in terms of providing health and education, public-private partnerships are doing better. For instance, initiatives in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan and clearly indicate that the implementation of public sector projects with NGOs will lead to success. And what were the challenges that were faced with all these developments? The challenges that were faced in the development calls for attention of the students of public administration. Well, the concept of governance has redefined the relationship between the state, market, and civil society. Is everything good with this kind of developments? What is the role of the state in terms of its accountability? Is the state transparent? Is the private sector that is involved in service delivery transparent? These were some of the questions that were raised by the scholars. Yes, network governance has sought the role for civil society and the market. Is it conducive to the Indian model or Indian development? These are some of the questions. Let us examine some of the challenges that were faced in the background of the governance reforms. There was an argument that the state tries to evade the responsibility by undertaking the public-private partnerships, and it was a major criticism against the state. It was also seen that the bureaucrats will try to forge relationship with the business in the garb of public-private partnerships. And it was also criticized that state is taking a back step in providing services to the citizens, therefore neglecting the welfare. And the possibility of developing a nexus between society, business, and governance was seen in a negative manner. It saw that state is losing its sovereignty. State is losing its dominance. Are these claims true? We need to think about these developments. Though the concept of governance has envisaged a role for the business and civil society groups, the role of the state remains valid. State cannot give its sovereignty to the non-state sector because the state derives its legitimacy from the citizens. State needs to coordinate all these relationships. Therefore, the claim that governance has reduced the scope for the state is not completely valid. We see that the role of the state has diminished to the extent that it is given to the non-state sector, and the state's role remains valid. State is not dead. We summarize what we have seen in the entire lesson. We begin our understanding with the concept of the governance and its meaning, the factors that contributed to that. The major factor that contributed to the concept of governance is state's inefficiency in implementing the public policies and the reduced scope for the dominance of the state. And one more important thing is that state's hierarchy has been questioned, and states needs to promote economic growth. State can no longer be a dominant actor. It means state needs to give scope for non-state actors by involving the private sector, market, business and civil society group in the decision making process. Governance is also a network at both formal level and informal level. Governance is about partnership. Governance is about steering these networks between the public-private partnership. India adopted these changes by reflecting its paradigm shift from government to governance. Starting from 8th five-year plan, we see an argument for a shift from government to governance, where from 11th five-year plan to 12th five-year plan, there has been a demand to increase the role of private sector in investments. India adopted public-private partnerships in both social sector and also in investment sector. And the results show that these public-private partnerships are varying from sector to sectors. There were the challenges in the implementation with regard to accountability, and there were questions about state's responsibility in delivering citizens. Among all these developments, the role of the state remains the same because it derives its legitimacy from the people, and it is the only one which can steer all these relationships. This is what all about paradigm shift from government to governance. For further details, you can look at the references. Thank you.